The match struck like a gunshot in the quiet of my childhood bedroom, its sulfur flare casting jagged shadows on the floral wallpaper. I was 13, frozen in the doorway, watching my grandmother's arthritic fingers hover over the flame, her lips pressed into a line thinner than the razor wire of her disapproval. "Boys like you don't get to dream like that, Julius," she whispered, as the first letter. My clumsy confession to Miles, scrawled in blue Bic ink, curled into black ash, carrying my heart up the chimney like so much forgotten smoke. That was the night everything ignited, or maybe it was the night it all turned to cinders. I'd snuck the letters out of my desk drawer after dinner, planning to mail them the next day at recess. But Grandma Ruth had eyes like a hawk scouting for sinners. She was the pillar of our small Ohio town, a retired school secretary who'd raised me since Mom and Dad's car accident 5 years back, her Bible verses as sharp as her shears. I'd always known she loved me fierce, in that old-school way. Pot roast on Sundays, hymns at dawn. But love, I learned then, had its boundaries, drawn right around what she called unnatural urges. I lunged forward, my voice cracking like dry leaves. "Grandma, no, those are mine." But she was quicker than her 70 years allowed, crumpling the stack. 10 letters in all, each one a fragile bridge to the boy who made my pulse stutter during algebra. Miles Hargrove, with his freckled grin and soccer kick laugh, the one who'd passed me notes in homeroom, his fingers brushing mine like accidental lightning. We'd shared secrets in the bleachers after school, whispers about stars and superheroes, and yeah, maybe my letters spilled too much. I think about your smile when the lights go out. What if we ran away to the city, just us? The fire devoured them one by one, the words Miles and forever twisting into illegible ghosts. She didn't yell. That wasn't her way. Instead, she pulled me into her lap, me all gangly limbs and confusion, and rocked me like I was 5 again, murmuring, "It's for your own good, sugar. The world's cruel to dreamers who chase shadows." I sobbed into her cardigan, the wool scratchy against my cheek, hating her and needing her in the same breath. By morning, the letters were gone, and so was the boy version of me who believed in fairy tales. Life in Elmwood, Ohio, didn't pause for a kid's broken heart. School dragged on, a gray slog of lockers slamming and lunchroom hierarchies. Miles noticed my distance, of course, how I dodged his eyes in the hall, skipped our after-school hangs. "You okay, Jules?" he'd ask, slinging his backpack over one shoulder, his hazel eyes searching mine like he could pull the truth out. I'd mumble something about homework, my throat tight as a noose, and bolt for the bus. Grandma watched from the kitchen window, her nod of approval a silent medal for my silence. She filled the void with structure. Extra chores, church youth group, a summer job alphabetizing files at the library. "Knowledge is your armor, Julius," she'd say, handing me a stack of manila folders. Ruth had spent 30 years at Elmwood High, cataloging transcripts like they were sacred scrolls, her desk a fortress against chaos. I absorbed her diligence, straight A's my new rebellion, but at night, under the covers with a flashlight, I'd replay those burned words, wondering if Miles had ever guessed. High school blurred into a haze of denial. I dated girls, sweet, puzzle types like Emily from Debate Club, kissing them under the football field lights while my mind wandered to what-ifs. Miles flourished, captain of the team, off to Ohio State on a scholarship, his yearbook quote all about chasing horizons. We graduated in a whirl of caps and gowns, our paths diverging like the Ohio River splitting the state. I stayed local, community college, then a job at the county clerk's office, filing deeds and births and deaths. Safe, predictable, the kind of life Grandma nodded at over her morning coffee. She aged like the town itself, fading but stubborn. By my 30s, her hands trembled too much for the garden, her stories looping back to the good old days. I moved into her bungalow to help, trading my apartment for the creak of floorboards and her endless cups of chamomile. We didn't talk about the letters. They were buried deeper than Dad's grave. Instead, we built a rhythm. Me cooking her favorites, her quizzing me on current events, her pride in my promotion to records supervisor a quiet bomb. Then, one crisp October afternoon in 2015, everything shifted again. I came home from work to find her in the living room, surrounded by banker boxes she'd dragged down from the attic. Dust coated her glasses, and her cheeks were flushed, not from effort but something sharper. Guilt, maybe, or the ghost of old fires. "Julius, honey," she said, voice thin as onion skin. "I need your help with these school records. The district's digitizing everything, and they called me in as a consultant. But my eyes, well, you know." She patted the top box, labeled Class of '92 transcripts. "My class. Our class." I knelt beside her, flipping open the lid, the scent of aged paper hitting me like a wave. Rows of folders, names etched in her precise cursive. Abernathy, Caldwell, Hargrove. My heart thudded, a buried drum. "Why me, Grandma? You've got the whole Alumni Association at your beck and call." She looked away, fiddling with her rosary beads. "Because you're good at this. And because it's time." "Time for what?" I wanted to ask, but her eyes, those hawk eyes, softened now by cataracts, held mine, pleading. I nodded, stacking the boxes by the dining table, my fingers brushing a singed envelope wedged in the corner of one. It fluttered open, revealing a fragment. "To my dearest Jules." The room spun. That handwriting, loopy, confident, wasn't mine. It was Miles. A letter to me, preserved somehow, its edges charred like it had escaped the blaze. I clutched that fragment like a lifeline, the paper brittle under my thumb, Miles' words smudged but defiant. "To my dearest Jules, if you're reading this." No, I felt it too. The spark, the secret we almost named. The date was June 1992, weeks after graduation, postmarked from his dorm in Columbus. How had it survived? Why was it here, tucked among strangers' GPAs and detention slips? Grandma cleared her throat, the sound pulling me back. "Found it years ago, cleaning out my desk. Must have slipped in with the mail." Her voice wavered, the lie thin as the veil between us. I wanted to rage, to demand why she'd hoarded this relic while torching my confessions. But her frailty pinned my tongue. 85 now, she'd shrunk to my height, her shoulders bowed under decades of unspoken weights. We started sorting that evening, the table a battlefield of faded ink and yellowed forms. I scanned documents into my laptop, her narrating anecdotes. "That was little Susie Klein. Ran off to Hollywood, never looked back." Laughter bubbled between us, fragile as bubbles. But every Hargrove file I opened was a gut punch. Miles' transcript, straight A's in lit and history, a note from Coach about his leadership potential, a photo clipped to his file, him at prom, Ty Askew, grinning like the world was his to conquer. I'd skipped that dance, feigning flu, too scared to face the ache of seeing him with a date. As days blurred into weeks, the work unearthed more than records. Grandma's stories turned confessional. Laced with regrets she doled out like bitter pills. "Your granddad. He had his secrets too," she admitted one night, rain pattering the roof like impatient fingers. "Letters from a soldier in the war. Not your grandma." She stirred her tea, steam rising like ghosts. "I burned those too. Thought it was mercy." Mercy. The word soured in my mouth. And mine? Was that mercy too? It slipped out, the fragment burning a hole in my pocket where I'd stashed it. She froze, spoon clinking the mug. Silence stretched, thick as the humidity before a storm. "I was scared for you, Julius. Elmwood chews up boys who march to different drums. Your folks gone so young. I couldn't lose you to whispers, to fists in dark alleys." Tears tracked her cheeks, carving rivers in her powder. "But I see now. I clipped your wings instead." I reached for her hand, calluses meeting wrinkles, the first crack in our armor. Forgiveness wasn't a floodgate. It trickled, tentative. We kept working, the boxes dwindling, but that letter haunted me. Late nights, after tucking her in with her hot water bottle, I'd pore over it by lamplight, tracing the loops of his Y and Jules. What if I'd gotten it? Would I have chased him to OSU, crashed his frat parties, claimed the life we'd glimpsed in Bleacher Whispers? The district deadline loomed, but curiosity gnawed deeper. On a whim, I Googled him, Miles Hargrove, class of '96. Hits flooded. A marketing exec in Chicago, married briefly in his 20s, divorced, no kids, now a nonprofit director for LGBTQ youth outreach. My stomach flipped. He was out, proud. Everything I'd buried under layers of normalcy. Emboldened, I emailed the nonprofit, casual as a class reunion invite. "Hey, Julius here, from Elmwood High. Sorting old records and your name popped up. Coffee sometime? No response for days, then, Jules? Holy shit, it's been forever. Chicago next month? Let's catch up. Grandma caught me smiling at the screen, her eyes sharp despite the years. That boy. I nodded, bracing. She sighed, heavy as an anvil. Be careful, love. Some fires leave scars. Chicago hit like a fever dream. October wind whipping the loop, skyscrapers clawing the sky. Miles waited outside a corner bistro, taller than memory, silver threading his temples. But that grin? Timeless, cracking me open like sunlight on frost. Jules, he said, pulling me into a hug that smelled of cedar and possibility. You look exactly like trouble. We talked for hours, croissants crumbling forgotten on plates. He spilled easy, his coming out sophomore year at OSU, the ex-wife who'd known and loved him anyway, the nonprofit born from mentoring kids like we were. I wrote you that letter after prom, he confessed, eyes crinkling. Mailed it to your house, figured if you didn't reply it'd be okay. But damn, I hoped. The fragment burned in my wallet. I never got it. Grandma. She intercepted stuff. His face fell, then softened with understanding, the quiet solidarity of survivors. No pity, just a hand on mine across the table, warm and steady. She must have loved you fierce to meddle like that. Back in Elmwood, the boxes waited, half-scanned. But now, with Miles' texts lighting my phone. Missed this. Part too soon. The past felt less like chains, more like compost for something new. Grandma noticed the shift, my lighter step, the way I'd hum old Springsteen tunes while filing. One evening, as frost etched the windows, she handed me a key. Attic's got one more box. Yours if you want it. Heart hammering. I climbed the pull-down stairs, flashlight beam dancing over cobwebs and forgotten holiday bins. There, in the corner, a small cedar chest, locked but yielding to the key. Inside, not ash, but salvation. A bundle of letters, mine and his, salvaged from the fire. She'd saved them after all, hiding them like contraband. Her mercy twisted into hoarding. Tears blurred the ink as I read. My boyish pleas, his bold replies. Run with me, Jules. Chicago's got lights brighter than stars. Decades of what-ifs unfolded in my lap. A tapestry of stolen time. But joy's a tricky beast. It unearths shadows. That night, over pot roast, I confronted her. Why hide them? Why not just give them back? She met my gaze, unflinching. Because seeing you hurt like that, it broke me too. I thought protecting the letters protected you from the pain. Her words landed like punches. Love as a cage, well-intentioned but iron. We argued, voices rising in the kitchen we'd shared for years. Accusations flying. Her control, my silence. The life we'd both half-lived. You stole my chance. I shouted, the chest slamming on the table. She wept then, raw and ragged. I stole mine too. Watching you dim. Dawn brought truce. Apologies brewed with coffee. We digitized the last files together, her stories now laced with miles this, miles that. He visited that Thanksgiving. Nerves electric as we three sat to turkey. Awkward laughs bridging gaps. Grandma grilled him gentle. Chicago treating you right? Miles charmed her. Tales of youth centers and pride parades. And by pie, her eyes twinkled. Keep him safe, you hear? No more burning bridges. Winter deepened, our trio an unlikely bloom. Miles and I stole weekends. Train rides to the city, hands intertwined in anonymity, kisses tentative as thawing ice. But cracks spidered. His job demanded more. My roots in Elmwood tugged. And Grandma's health faltered. A cough that lingered, doctor's visits hushed. Spring 2016 bloomed vicious. Dogwoods mocking the frost in Grandma's yard. Her cough turned to rattles, then hospital stays. The attic boxes long archived, but their ghosts lingering in sterile beeps. Miles flew in from Chicago, his presence an anchor, holding my hand in waiting rooms, whispering, she's a fighter, like you. We three formed a fragile alliance. Him reading psalms at her bedside, her quizzing him on nonprofit stats, me bridging the silences with bad hospital jello jokes. One night, as monitors hummed, she pulled us close. Julius, Miles, I got it wrong all those years. Her voice was a thread, fraying. Burned what I couldn't understand, hid what scared me. But you too? You're the grace I didn't earn. Miles squeezed her hand, tears mirroring mine. Ruth, you gave him roots. We built from there. She smiled, faint as dawn, and slipped into sleep that held. She rallied, home by May, oxygen tank a reluctant companion. We adapted, Miles commuting weekends, me WFH to manage her meds. Romance deepened in stolen moments. Picnics by the river, his head on my shoulder under star-pricked skies, confessions whispered like prayers. I always knew Jules, he'd say, fingers tracing my jaw. Even when we were kids, it was you. Love, real and rooted, felt like coming home. Not to Elmwood, but to myself. But betrayal brews in quiet corners. June brought the district's audit spot checks on digitized records. My promotion hinged on it, but emails pinged. Discrepancies in 92 files. Signatures mismatched, dates fudged. I dove in, cross-referencing originals, heart sinking at the anomalies. Not accidents, deliberate. Someone had altered transcripts, burying scandals. A teacher's affair? A principal's embezzlement, all under Grandma's watch. She confessed over iced tea, hands trembling. I fixed them, Julius, to protect the school, the kids. Elmwood's small, truths like that fester. Her eyes pleaded, but fury ignited. You taught me records are truth, and you lied, for what? Reputation. She shrank, whispering, for you, too. Kept your file clean when rumors swirled after those letters. Rumors. The word clawed. I'd buried them, but she'd orchestrated the cover-up, doctoring my permanent record to erase any deviant notes counselors might have jotted. Protection, again, her love a scalpel, precise and scarring. Miles found me pacing the backyard, unraveling. She did it out of fear, Jules. Same as the fire. But understanding didn't douse the blaze. It fanned it. The audit escalated, investigators sniffing, subpoenas looming. I faced a choice. Expose her, risk the job, or bury it deeper, perpetuating the cycle. Sleepless, I drove to the river at midnight, stones skipping like skipped heartbeats. Miles met me there, coat flapping in the wind. Whatever you choose, I'm with you. We kissed then, urgent and salt-tinged, his certainty a buoy in the storm. But doubt gnawed. Was our love built on her lies, or despite them? July scorched, the heat mirroring my turmoil. Grandma worsened, hospice whispers in the hall. Miles and I tag-teamed care, him cooking her favorites, me reading her old journals aloud, entries from 1992. Burned the boys' letters today. God forgive me, but he'll thank me someday. Each page peeled layers. Her own youth, a forbidden crush on a farmhand, suppressed under church and duty. Human, flawed, my jailer, my mirror. The climax crashed during a thunderstorm, lightning fracturing the sky. Auditors arrived unannounced, badges glinting, demanding the originals. I handed them over, voice steady. Check everything. Grandma watched from her bed, eyes wide with betrayal's echo. As they pored over files, discrepancies bloomed, hers, but also others. A colleague's kickbacks, buried deeper. The room thickened, accusations flying like hail. In the chaos, she clutched my sleeve. Tell them, it was me, all me, but I couldn't not fully. We fix it together, Grandma. Miles backed me, his calm a shield, negotiating with the lead investigator. Voluntary disclosures, restitution plans. By dawn, deal struck. No charges for her, just paperwork penance. The storm broke, sun slicing clouds, a fragile peace. Yet the real thunder rolled inside. Alone that night, I confronted the chest of letters, their ink accusations, to Miles. She betrayed us both, burned our truth, then hid the ashes. He pulled me close, breath warm on my neck. And we forgave, didn't we? That's the story now. But forgiveness fractured. I pulled away, needing space to breathe. August brought schisms. My job hung by threads, suspension pending review, while Miles' nonprofit offered a remote role in Chicago. Come with me, he urged, over diner coffee, his eyes pleading. Elmwood's roots, Chicago's wings. Grandma, Freilier, whispered the same. Go, Julius. Don't clip yours for me. Torn, I lingered, nursing her decline. Our evenings a vigil of morphine and memories. Betrayal's shadow lengthened. Digging deeper into the audit files, I uncovered her final secret. A letter from Miles, not just one, but a bundle she'd forwarded to a P.O. box in my name, addressed to a life I never claimed. He'd written monthly post-graduation, pouring out his soul, waiting for replies that never came. She'd intercepted them all, her mercy a dam against our flood. Rage crested that September eve, rain lashing windows as I stormed her room. You stole him from me. Decades, Grandma, decades of alone because you played God. She wept, oxygen hissing. I thought, if you never knew, you'd be safe. Happy, happy. The lie shattered me. Miles arrived mid-tempest, soaked and steadfast, pulling me from the brink. She was wrong, but she's dying, Jules. Let her go with grace. We mended in fragments. Family counseling via Zoom, her apologies taped for posterity. Love's not linear. It's a weave of wounds and wonders. As leaves turned, so did we. Miles splitting time, me applying for transfers. But her light dimmed, breaths shallowing to whispers. October's chill seeped into the bungalow like regret's cold finger. Grandma's room became our confessional, monitors beeping a metronome to her fading stories. I was young once, Julius, she'd rasp, eyes distant. Loved a boy with calloused hands and a laugh like thunder. Church said sin, I said silence. Burned his photo, married your granddad instead. Her confession cracked the final wall. Her fire, my cage, born of her own ashes. Miles and I listened, hands linked, his thumbs circling mine in silent Morse. We're here. We forgave in layers, not for her sake, but ours, releasing the weight to claim the now. She passed on All Hallows' Eve, peaceful as a sigh, her hand in mine, Miles' voice humming Amazing Grace low. The funeral packed the church, Elmwood's matriarch, remembered for potlucks and piety, not the secrets she'd shelved. I eulogized her. Ruth taught me truth's a quiet rebellion. She was my first, flawed lesson in love. Grief hollowed me, but Miles filled the spaces. Nights tangled in her old quilt. His stories of youth-centered triumphs a balm. She gave us this, Jules. Time to rewrite. We scattered her ashes by the river, stones skipping in tribute. His arm around me as wind whispered absolution. November brought reckonings. The audit cleared with caveats. My suspension lifted, but a demotion to junior clerk, the district's nod to ethical oversights. I packed the bungalow, each artifact a pang. Her shears in the drawer, my letters in the chest. Miles' offer loomed. Chicago, a fresh start, his apartment overlooking the lake. Build with me, he said, overpacked boxes, his kiss a promise. But roots rebelled. Elmwood hummed in my veins, the clerk's office a tether to her legacy. Conflict peaked in a raw December dawn. Snow blanketed the yard as I found the last hidden file. Her journal, tucked in the cedar chest. Pages chronicled us. Julia smiled today, real for that boy. My mercy was madness, and scrawled at the end, forgive me, loves. Fly. Tears froze on my cheeks. Betrayal's sting softened to sorrow. Her love, a lighthouse gone dim, guiding crooked but true. I called Miles, voice cracking. I'm scared. What if I can't leave? He arrived by noon, train fresh, pulling me into the snow. Then we hybrid it, commutes, compromises. Love's not a leap, it's a ladder. We climbed tentative. Me keeping the job, him weekend warrior, video dates bridging miles. Romance deepened in duality. Lazy Sundays in Chicago lofts, hurried hugs in Ohio diners. Tension simmered, though, his exhaustion from travel, my isolation in the empty house. A fight erupted New Year's Eve, champagne flutes shattering like resolutions. I can't keep chasing ghosts here, he yelled, eyes stormy. And I can't abandon hers. I shot back, the river's freeze mirroring my heart. Silence followed, a chasm. Days blurred, his texts cooling to polite check-ins. Panic clawed. I'd burned our bridge this time with indecision's flame. Desperate, I drove to the city unannounced, pounding his door at midnight. He opened, rumpled and wary, but pulled me in. Jules, what are we doing? We talked till dawn, vulnerabilities bared. His fear of half-lives, my terror of erasure. Grandma's gone, I admitted. But her lessons linger. Love demands risk. Epiphany struck like spring thaw. We restructured, me applying for remote work, him scouting Ohio grants for his nonprofit. Compromise, not conquest. By Valentine's, we stood on the magnificent mile, hands gloved and linked, watching fireworks bloom. To second chances, he toasted, kiss warm against the cold. Years wove forward, humanistic and hard-won. I digitized Elmwood's archives full-time, turning records into reckonings, workshops on ethical archiving, honoring her flaws by amplifying truths. Miles Center expanded, a satellite in Columbus, kids like us finding voices in bleacher whispers. We bought a fixer-upper in a suburb straddling states, creaky but ours, pot roast Sundays a nod to ghosts. No tidy bows, love's a drafty house, drafts of doubt and delight. But in quiet moments, tracing his freckles faded but familiar, I feel the letters echo. Forever, not in ash, but ink. Grandma's mercy, misguided, midwife this. A life unlived in silence, now sung loud. We visited her grave last fall, wildflowers in hand. You were wrong, Ruth, I said to the stone, Miles' arm steady. But damn if you didn't make us right. Wind rustled leaves, approval's whisper. As we walked away, two boys, decades later, hands full of horizons.